Does J.J. McCarthy want to play for the Minnesota Vikings? We're going to be breaking that down on today's show after J.J. McCarthy this following week followed two Vikings players on Instagram, Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. We'll dive into that all here in a second, but if you guys want the Vikings to draft a quarterback in this year's class, it doesn't need to be J.J. It could be somebody else. Send Kwesi a message. Drop a like on today's video. Maybe he's coming across this and he wants to catch the pulse of the fan base. If you want the Vikings to draft a QB, all you got to do, like today's video. So this is a pretty interesting tidbit that kind of came out after the NFL scouting combine. It was JJ following these two guys on Instagram. And listen, you guys may not, again, this could be something where it's like you don't want to look too much into it because, again, it is just Instagram. It is just social media. But I thought it was interesting that he followed two Vikings players specifically, and he's not really following that many people. He's only following 1,200 people. Two of them are two receivers he could be possibly playing for. But I also want to share with you guys this clip from the NFL scouting combine where JJ talked about his meeting with the Minnesota Vikings.
It went amazing. Coach O'Connell led the whole thing, and just being able to see him in person, he was a lot taller than I thought, and Coach McCown, and just everything about what they were talking about, everything about what they wanted out of a quarterback is something aligns with what I want. And just being able to, get on the board with them, have them go through their plays, it was something really special, and I enjoyed it.
My favorite part of that whole clip, by the way, is the first thing he said when he was like, Kevin O'Connell's way bigger than I thought he was. And I think people really forget about that. Kevin O'Connell is a solid 6'5", 6'6". I mean, he's played quarterback in the league. But overall, JJ's just raving about Minnesota. I think it makes sense on both sides. And there's actually another interview from the Combine where somebody asked, JJ, who would be your number one choice to throw the ball to in the entire NFL? Well, this is who he had to say. It was none other than Justin Jefferson. I will say this. They asked this to a ton of different quarterbacks at the Combine. I mean, Caleb Williams said Justin Jefferson. Spencer Rattler said Jefferson. Drake Maye said Jefferson. Jayden Daniels said Jefferson. Almost every single quarterback said JJ. Then he also didn't mention Devontae Adams and JSN from the Seattle Seahawks. JJ showing love to an Ohio State receiver I thought was pretty funny as well. But I do want to kick it to the bookmakers out west here. In terms of odds to draft J.J. McCarthy, this is where it stands right now. It's according to FanDuel. So they do have the Giants at plus 340 as the heavy favorite at number 6 overall to draft J.J. Broncos selecting 12th, and then the Vikings at 11, and then the Atlanta Falcons at 8, and then a dark horse right here, New England at 3rd overall. They could pick him, but I do think that makes a whole lot of sense. If the Vikings want to draft J.J., I don't know if he's going to fall on your lap. You may need to trade up and jump the Giants at 5th overall. But I do want to dive into some numbers around JJ and just kind of tell you guys the full story about who he is as a quarterback. So, big-time throw percentage in college. PFF rated this as like throws that make you say it's a big-time throw. So, a lot of this is just perception and how you view it. But J.J. McCarthy was 5th on this list at only 6%. Jayden Daniels was number 1 at 8.4. Big reason for that, him just pushing the ball downfield, throwing it up to those two first-round receivers that he had there at LSU. But the stat that I love the most about JJ, and I think people don't really understand this, is how good he is outside of the pocket. If we're talking completion percentage out of scrambles, out of the main 6 quarterbacks this season, JJ was number 1, and frankly, it was by an extremely wide margin. When I was going back, watching some tape from JJ this past season, I think people underestimate truly how fast he is. When he escapes the pocket and an edge is in his face, countless times, he was dusting him. I mean, he would break the contain incredibly easy, and I think that kind of gets me back to this misconception about JJ, where it's just like, oh, he didn't throw the ball a lot at Michigan. He had a high completion percentage, so a lot of people thinks it was a ton of checkdowns, and yes, that was true. He did throw a lot of checkdowns last season, but it was those off-script plays. It was the 3rd and longs, which I think JJ was a big reason why Michigan went and won a national championship. It's because of what JJ was doing outside the pocket. But also, not only outside of the pocket is important in the NFL, but also red zone. Red zone is key, and JJ was solid there as well. Bo Nix, by far the best quarterback in the red zone this past season. I mean, threw over 18 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. But McCarthy at that second spot threw for 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was pretty solid in the red zone. He was really, really good in the big-time games against Bama in the red zone, against Washington in the red zone. Then you got other guys up there, Jayden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Michael Penix. Drake Maye only having a 47.3 completion percentage in the red zone. I thought that was a little concerning and also shocking. I thought he would have been way up there considering his dual threat ability. I thought he would have been way better in the red zone. But after the NFL Combine, listen, the rumors were swirling around JJ. I think he absolutely balled out there, and he really put himself on the map to being a top 10 pick. And listen, I don't think he's going to get there at 11. If you really do believe, if you're sitting there, Kwesi and the rest of the Vikings front office, they're saying, you know what, I believe in this kid. Let's go get JJ, have him sit behind whatever quarterback it is for a year. You're going to have to trade up. And I may not even think, or it may not even be top 10. You may have to trade up into the top 5 because something tells me if JJ falls to number 6 overall and he's there for the Giants, I think they might take him. But before I give you guys my answer, would you trade up for JJ McCarthy? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no down in the comment section. I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's video. So if YouTube throws an ad break your way, sit back, let it play. Answer today's pinned comment of would you trade up for JJ McCarthy? Frankly, I would. I think there would be no doubt that I would go up and get him because I'm always stuck in this thought process. If you would take him at 11 and you think he would be your guy and your franchise quarterback, you should have no issue trading up in the NFL draft. And listen, I understand. Like, it may be scary to trade up for a guy like JJ because the sample size really isn't there. Like, he wasn't asked to throw the ball at Michigan. He wasn't asked to put this team on his back, mainly just because Michigan was a great running team. They had championship aspirations. Didn't really have too much elite talent on the outside. But now you might be saying to yourself, Patrick, why would you ever trade up for JJ McCarthy? I got 4 reasons why. I think this is another misconception about JJ, that people just think he was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school, kind of worked his way up, and he just won a national championship, similar to a guy like Stetson Bennett. But JJ truly is an elite prospect. Check out his relative athletic score here. Following the scouting combine, he actually had one of the best 3-cone drills in NFL Combine history. It's in the bottom right of your screen. He ran a 6.82, which was in the 95th percentile for quarterbacks, but also he weighed in at 219 pounds. That was a big question mark about him. How much will he weigh? If he's playing at, 195, 200, he was obviously, would be susceptible to getting injured, but he came in bigger than we thought. I don't expect him to be playing at 220, but again, that's still a step in the positive direction. And also check this out. The dude's been winning his whole life. It wasn't just at only Michigan that he was winning, where he was 29-1 as a starter. He also had a great high school record as well, dating back at IMG his senior year and back at Nazareth Academy, where I went to high school in Chicago, where he went 36-2. But also, he was a highly touted recruit coming out. He was a 5-star, and he was the 38th overall recruit in his class, and he was actually the 5th quarterback overall in this draft class. And it gets me to this point. And I know there's a ton of talk about, like, oh, maybe JJ lacks some of, the dual threat ability that you see all these quarterbacks in the NFL nowadays that are having success that they have. I will say this. I think JJ is the 3rd most athletic quarterback in this class. I think no doubt it's Jayden Daniels. And then I'd probably go, even though Caleb Williams doesn't run a whole lot, I just think his athleticism in the pocket and outside the pocket, the ability to make edge rushers miss, I'd probably put him at 2nd. But then you get to the class where it's like, Drake Maye, Michael Penix, Bo Nix. I think JJ's faster than all of them. My eye test just tells me that if JJ and Drake Maye and the rest of the quarterbacks ran a 40, he would be, I don't want to say by far the fastest, but I'll put a lot of money on it that he would run the 3rd fastest 40 out of this entire class. And I do want to get to this quote from Peter Schrager. Peter Schrager, he's a great NFL insider. He actually has predicted the last 3 Super Bowl winners. Just add a little more validity to what he has to say. But he said this. He said he went out there, competed, and threw the ball very, very well. I got a text from an NFL evaluator, very respected one, saying this. Of all these guys, McCarthy translates to the NFL the most. He had an outstanding day out there. And I totally agree. Maybe not as much as a guy like Caleb Williams, but just overall his game, overall the way he handles himself, I really do believe JJ, his game does translate to, or will translate to the next level fairly easily. I think he's an elite prospect, and we already kind of touched on this, but JJ has won at every single level, even dating back to like middle school days when he was really winning championships for a 7-on-7 team at the national level. I mean, we already showed you guys, but his career record in high school was fantastic. At IMG and at Nazareth Academy in Illinois, he accumulated a 36-2 record in high school and then a 29-1 record in college. I know you guys may be saying quarterback wins. It's not a great way to determine how good a quarterback is. I totally agree. There's no reason or there's no disagreement I can make for that. I don't think that's the most important part, but I think it matters. I think you have to put at least some juice and some backing into that he has won every single place he has gone. No matter the talent around him, no matter the situation, he has figured it out. And that's why I think once he gets to the NFL, he will figure it out as well. Gets me to this point also. The intangibles with the kid. The way he sounds behind the podium. The way he sounds in front of a mic. He just acts like he is a 15-year veteran in the league. And, there was actually a clip from back in his senior year of high school at IMG. Actually, our very own Marshall Green was interviewing him. And Jayden McCarthy was talking about how much he loved football. And he said, you have to give up everything else in your life if you want to be great at this game. He has that Tom Brady mindset. He has that I would do whatever it takes to win at any cost. And Schrager also had this report. He said JJ was by far the best quarterback at the whiteboard in this entire class. He reported that at the Combine. I think he's an extremely intellectual player. Yes, he may not have as big of an arm as a Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, or Drake Maye, but that's not all it takes to be a quarterback in the NFL. I think intangibles matter a whole lot more than you think. A former Michigan quarterback, Tom Brady, proved that as well. Gets me my fourth point on why I would trade up for JJ. I think this is my favorite one as well. It's the unknown. It's who do we really think this kid is? Because, listen, he didn't obviously have a big sample size in college. Michigan didn't ask him to throw the ball too much. I don't think that means he can't go throw the ball 40, 50 times a game. It's just they didn't ask him. And also, if you're looking at the ages over the top quarterbacks here, JJ is by far the youngest. Actually, well, Drake Maye is 21 as well, but he's about to turn 22, and JJ just turned 21. And if you make an argument, like Jayden Daniels, I think he'll be quarterback 2 in this class no matter what. But my argument with Michael Penix and Bo Nix in comparison to McCarthy would be like, you take how these guys are right now. 2 years, Penix or Bo Nix is 3 classes ahead of JJ. If you say JJ in 2 to 3 years in an NFL system, in their weight training program, just overall getting the tutelage from an NFL coaching staff, if you don't think he could be better than these 2 quarterbacks, I just wholeheartedly disagree with that thought process. Also, I think this is an extremely lazy take that I've heard thrown out there. Fans who say JJ doesn't have a big-time arm, I just don't think you know who he is. I don't think you know who he was coming out of high school. When he went to IMG, it was an air raid attack. They were throwing the ball all over the football field, and he was putting the ball on the rope every single time. Just because Michigan didn't ask JJ to throw the ball all over the lot doesn't mean he can't. And I want to make that point very clear here. Just because Michigan didn't ask him to doesn't mean he cannot do it. The one gripe I will have with JJ, obviously this is a very positive show about him. If I make one point on where I think his game really needs to develop, I think the size, no doubt. But also every single throw I watched from JJ this past season, everything is on a line. It's always a fastball with him. I think he needs to get better at layering the football, but I think that could come with great tutelage in the NFL. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. Wanted to get a full video talking about J.J. McCarthy because rumors are flying around. Cowherd put out a video today saying that he thinks the Vikes are going to trade up for him. Brett Coleman, another YouTuber as well, said that. So listen, I think there's a lot of juice there, so want to get you guys a full video. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, just give me a SKOL down in the comment section so I know who all the real ones are. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next time. SKOL Vikes.